Some of you might come up to me and ask, Mr. Regressive, what steps can I take to damage my rifle scope under normal use? I would say, well, first off, you need to increase your recoil. So I need you to get a bigger cartridge, I need you to be shooting heavier bullets, and I want you to reduce the weight of that rifle so that all of that delicious recoil is going straight into the scope. While you're at it, see if you can get yourself a semi-automatic platform so you're going to have that forward impulse as well, as you have whatever mass that traveled backward suddenly comes forward, slams home. That's going to help to knock your reticle out of place, and who knows, could knock a couple lenses out as well. Unfortunately, if you have bought a prime, that's probably not going to happen, as I've seen in my own testing. I've been testing a 1:4 by 32mm Bushnell prime on a 458 SOCOM AR-15. It's a very lightweight carbine. That thing has a pretty good little kick to it, and it has that forward momentum as the buffer and the BCG slam home, and nothing is wrong with that scope at all. It just continues to absorb whatever we put into it. It hasn't lost zero. It continues to hit its spot every time, and it's very precise. It still tracks perfectly well, and it's a great little scope. It's really good, especially for the hog hunting that we do, where we could be dealing with hogs at very close distance, so that 1x is going to come in really handy. And then you have 4x, so you can zoom in quite a bit to be able to get practical shots for 458 SOCOM. Remember that it does drop like a brick, so we don't want 30 power on that thing. And then we have this 3 to 9 by 40mm model with its illuminated reticle, and nothing is wrong with it. I've been firing some pretty spicy 308 rounds under it in my lightweight carbine. These are my own hand loads. I've been using some larger bullets, like 200 grain, up around there, and everything is just tracking perfectly along with it. It continues to track, it continues to hit its zero spot exactly right. So this is a heck of a scope. I want to start out with that because as we look at budget scopes, we automatically assume that there's going to be some great limitation to it, and in this case, not so much. If I were to hand you the Banner 2 and the Prime and ask you to pick which one is the half-price model, you'd probably be able to figure it out pretty quickly. This one just has more precise milling going on. It's just a little bit prettier. It has a nice smooth finish going through all of it. It has nice tight gaps. Everything seems very precise. And this continues as you test the controls. This has a good smooth zoom ring. It does stick a little bit in the cold at the very start. You don't really feel any hitches or anything, but this really feels like it has a dry lube running through it. It doesn't have that kind of fluid feel that you get from the zoom ring on the Prime. When I spin this feels like it's much more expensive cousins like the Nitro, the Forge, and even the Elite Tactical. This has a very smooth zoom, and its controls work the same way all the way around. The Prime adds 1 extra ounce of weight over the Banner 2, but the length is actually pretty much exactly the same. This is actually slightly shorter than the Banner 2. The Prime adds an extra 10 MOA of travel on both the elevation and the windage. It was 50 for both directions on the Banner 2. This takes it up to 60. Now this is not typically the kind of scope that you're going to be dialing out in the field, so I don't see it really being that big a deal. If, however, you have a cartridge that has a lot of drop and you're trying to get your initial zero to the right spot where you can get on target at a longer distance, then you can get it set up a little bit more easily on this one. Check out the image quality of the Banner 2. For less than $100, you're getting an image quality that blows away scopes that cost quite a bit more. You can see lots of resolution, including resolution out toward the edges. It does start to fall off a little bit, and you may have to shift your eye just a touch if you want to see things off toward the edges. But for the most part, this is a really, really good image that holds up from edge to edge. Good brightness, good color. You can see that the colors through the scope really are the same as the ones outside, so you're not getting any kind of weird color cast. It just feels like a very natural image overall. Well, the Prime steps this up just a little bit. This has really a lot of the same image qualities. You get the same absence of color cast. You get very little chromatic aberration. Lots of resolution that holds up and does fall off again just a little bit toward the edges, and that's to be expected for a budget scope. But really, when you compare this against Vortexes of a similar build, and even some of those that cost a good bit more, I think that this image does hold up better than it does on a lot of those. The fully multi-coated lenses absorb a lot of light, so this is a scope that's going to work as you get into the dusk hours, if it's raining, if it's really overcast. If you're in deep forest, as it's starting to get into the dark, this is a scope that will continue to function, and you'll be able to see the reticle pretty clearly. The lens coatings also do a very good job of preventing a lot of the bloom and glare that you're going to get when you have the sun just off to the side. You're not going to get washed out images. You're still going to be able to see the target that you're aiming at. And there is one extra trick. The external lenses also have Bushnell's Exo Barrier. That's going to not only be fog proof and water's going to roll right off it, it's going to help resist dust, dirt, scratches. You won't be able to stick sap or other solvents and weird stuff to it. Pretty much no matter what you get on that lens, it's just going to wipe clean. Nothing really sticks to it. Now let's get the Banner 2 out of the way and talk about what makes the Prime so special. This model that you see here, the 3-9x40, at $200 includes one extra feature right here on the side. This is not a side parallax adjustment. This is the illumination level for the reticle. This has a pretty simple crosshair reticle that performs like a lot of the duplex reticles you're going to find out there. It has the thick bars that help you to find the target more easily. It gets thinner, and then it has a little gap and a dot in the middle. So this is really going to draw the eye. It's going to be a great point. But then when you spin that illumination ring to one of these 6 settings, you're going to see that dot in the center light up red. So maybe if you're in a really dark situation, it's getting into dusk, and you're in some very thick timber, I know that it's very easy to lose that reticle. So what you can do is just flip that to one of the maybe lower illumination settings, and you're going to have that perfect aiming dot on your target. There's also a non-illuminated version, and you'll save a few bucks if you pick that one up. Now let's take a look at the controls. These have cap turrets that's going to help with your waterproofing. But up here we have the same wonderful clicks. Oh man, that feels good. These just lock in really tightly. There's a good snap to them. This isn't one where you're likely to skip over one of your spots. For something that's intended to be capped and not spun in the field really, this really feels as good as a lot of the tactical scopes that I've felt. This snaps really well. And this is a good indication of some of the benefits that you can get from a big company like Bushnell. They put a lot of money, a lot of research and development into a big expensive scope like the XRS2 that I've tested. And they trickle all that down to these lower expensive scopes. So whatever they figure out on the kind of the top end, it seems like they can put it into these lower ones as well. This just feels great. And this is resettable. All you need is the rim of a cartridge or a coin or something, and you can turn this, spin it around, put it on 0, and it's just going to be really easy to zero out at the range. Not only does it feel good, it actually tracks perfectly. I'm going to show you a test that I did here, my little box test. Now the reticle is going to be out of focus because the target is at 50 yards. This is a 100-yard fixed parallax scope. And so yeah, it's going to be out of focus at this closer distance. But you can see that the tracking is going just perfectly. It returns to 0 every time. Each one of these clicks is quarter MOA, both on the elevation and on the windage. And yeah, everything just snaps exactly where it's supposed to be. Adding a little extra bang for the buck, the Prime does come with these lens caps you see here. These look like they were made by Butler Creek. Vista owns both Bushnell and Butler Creek, so I guess it was pretty easy for them to get these uprated scope caps. These are the ones that they fit very neatly. These are obviously sized perfectly for the scope, and yeah, they're rebranded with the B for Bushnell. It has a good spring that doesn't pop out of place. I've had some that the spring really isn't captured and it can just go fly off. And yeah, you get the push on the front, and then you get the push button on the back one. And yeah, I've had no problems with these. These have not ever fallen off in the field or anything. Yeah, they fit really well, and it's just a nice little extra. You longtime subscribers to The Social Regressive know that my big question is why. I always want to know the purpose of something. I don't want to just know that it's good, I want to know if it's actually going to meet my needs out in the field. So who is going to benefit from a Bushnell Prime scope? Well, it's going to be any of your medium game hunters up through some of your larger games. So you're going to have hogs, deer, elk, bear. If you're dealing with any of those, even if you have a Magnum rifle or whatever, it should be just fine with this scope. It's going to maintain its 0, you're going to track reliably, it's going to continue to function, it's going to be able to deal with the elements, and I think you're going to have a good hunt for a much lower price tag than you might be expecting. Now, any of you that have used any of these Prime products, please put a comment down below. And any of you that are looking to see if this is a fit for you, check out those comments. Let's see the positives, let's see the negatives. I've pretty much only seen positive on this one, I think. The South Koreans are doing a really good job of putting these together. And not only the scope itself, you can actually inexpensively get into a whole suite of optics. Just in this one line with the primes. You can get the rifle scope, you can get binoculars, you can get a spotting scope, a rangefinder, so that you can more reliably get on target, figure out your distance to targets, glass around to be able to find them. You can get a buddy on a spotting scope to help you find your targets in the first place. This is just a great way to go. If you want to step up to some of the others, you will increase your image quality, as we'll show in some of the later videos, but really the Prime does punch well above its weight, I think, as you'll see in the comments down below. And this is Magnum ready. Like I mentioned, we've been firing some pretty big stuff under there. Yes, this does have a 3.5-inch eye relief, which is just a little bit on the shorter side. You can get into more expensive scopes that have a 4-inch eye relief, and it's going to help keep you from getting scope kissed. But really, as long as you are properly holding the rifle, 3.5 inches on a Magnum is just fine. You're going to do great out there. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell down there so you can hear when the next video comes out. We're going to be taking a look at the AR Optics line, and we're going to just be working our way up through the Nitro, the Forge, Match Pro, up to the Elite Tactical line of scopes. And yeah, you don't want to miss any of those, so hit that notification bell down there. Thanks a lot to patrons of the Destructive Arts that have made videos like these possible. If you'd like to join their ranks, I'll put a link down below. But yeah, thanks a bunch, you guys. And thank you to Bushnell for sending the scopes for me to test. They have performed really well over the years, and I'm just happy to be able to tell you guys how they've been functioning. I will see you in the next video.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Even if you didn't like this particular content, go ahead and subscribe. There's probably something coming that's more up your alley. Check out this playlist right here. This is going to have videos in a similar vein to what you just watched. These 2 videos we cherry-picked for you. And finally, The Social Regressive is on Patreon. So you can become a patron of the Destructive Arts and earn some goodies while helping us to provide high-quality videos just by kicking us a few bucks a month. Thanks a bunch for your patronage.